Ancient Egypt is known for its towering pyramids, golden tombs and powerful gods. But behind the beauty lies a world they never wanted you to see. Secrets buried beneath temple walls, erased from stone, and hidden in forbidden texts paint a very different picture of this ancient civilization. From royal scandals and erased rulers to disturbing rituals and shocking truths about their most sacred practices, Egypt's past is darker and stranger than you've ever imagined. These aren't myths. These are the secrets they tried to keep buried forever. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh wasn't just a king. People believed he was a living god on earth. To keep that god magic in the family, royal families would often marry their own sisters or brothers. Today, we know that's a bad idea because it can cause serious health problems in babies. But back then, they thought it was the only way to keep the royal blood pure. One famous pharaoh, Tutankhamun, you may know him as King Tut, was born from a brother-sister marriage. Scientists studied his bones and found that he had many health problems. He had a club foot, which made it hard for him to walk, and he may have had pain in his back and legs. He also had malaria, and he died very young, around 18 or 19 years old. Even though King Tut is famous now, his family didn't want people to talk about how sick he was or how they married inside the family. They tried to make everything seem perfect, even when it wasn't. Now, most people think Cleopatra was the most powerful Egyptian queen, but here's the secret. Cleopatra was not Egyptian at all. Her family came from Greece, and they ruled Egypt for almost 300 years before Cleopatra was born. Cleopatra belonged to a royal family called the Ptolemies, who took control of Egypt after a famous Greek general, Alexander the Great, conquered it. Even though they lived in Egypt, the Ptolemies didn't even speak Egyptian. They spoke Greek and followed Greek customs. But Cleopatra was different. She was the first in her family to learn the Egyptian language and talk to the people like a native. She also dressed like the goddess Isis, wore Egyptian clothing, and told people she was a real Egyptian ruler. She was smart and clever, and people believed her. But behind the scenes, she was part of a foreign royal family simply pretending to be fully Egyptian. On to number 3. Surprisingly, in many movies, we see people in chains building pyramids while guards whip them, but that's not how it really happened. Archaeologists found worker villages near the pyramids. These were special homes built for people who worked on the pyramids. They found tools, pottery, food remains, and even bread ovens and beef bones, which means the workers ate good food, not just scraps. They were paid in food, clothes, and beer. These workers were strong, skilled people who helped build huge stone blocks, carry them, and place them carefully. There were doctors to help them if they got hurt, and some graves even show that people who broke their bones were taken care of and lived long after. The truth is, these workers were proud Egyptians who believed they were helping build homes for their pharaohs to live in after death. But ancient leaders didn't tell everyone that, maybe because it sounded more powerful to say the pyramids were made by magic or by forced labor. Now you might know that animals were very special in ancient Egypt. See, they believed animals had magical powers and could connect them to the gods. Cats were seen as protectors and connected to the goddess Bastet. Crocodiles were feared and worshipped because of the god Sobek. Even beetles, called scarabs, were lucky and stood for rebirth. Egyptians didn't just love these animals, they mummified them just like they did with people. They would raise thousands of animals in big temple farms. Then, when people came to pray or asked the gods for help, they could buy a mummified animal as an offering. Some tombs had over 300,000 animal mummies, entire caves filled with wrapped-up cats, birds, snakes, and even crocodiles. Sometimes they were treated carefully and wrapped with gold and jewelry. Other times they were rushed and not even real animals, just empty wrappings. It became a business for temples to make and sell these animal mummies. This side of Egyptian life was kept quiet because it shows how religion and money were connected, and how some temples cared more about selling animal mummies than honoring the gods. Now, moving deeper, there was a pharaoh named Akhenaten, and he did something that shocked everyone. Instead of worshipping all the old gods like Ra, Osiris, and Isis, he said there should only be one god, the Aten, which was the sun. This made a lot of people mad, especially the priests who worked in big temples for the old gods. Akhenaten even built a new city in the desert and made everyone move there to worship the Aten. He changed the art style, the temples, and even his name to show his love for the new god. But when Akhenaten died, the next rulers, including his son, King Tut, wanted things to go back to normal. They destroyed his statues, smashed his temples, chiseled his name off buildings, and even buried his city in sand. In Egypt, people believed if your name was erased, your soul could not live in the afterlife. So Akhenaten was almost forgotten for thousands of years. That's how badly they wanted to erase him from history. Now for number 6. See, most pharaohs were men, but a few strong and smart women became pharaohs too. One of the most famous was Hatshepsut. She ruled Egypt for over 20 years, built temples, and made the country rich and peaceful. But she didn't just rule as a queen, she called herself a pharaoh, wore royal clothes, and even had herself shown in statues with a fake beard, just like the men did. She wanted people to see her as just as powerful as any male ruler. After she died, someone, maybe her stepson, tried to erase her memory. Her name was scratched off buildings, her statues were broken, and her story was hidden for a long time. People later found out the truth and realized she was one of Egypt's most successful rulers. But for hundreds of years, almost no one knew she had even existed. Now for number 7. Interestingly, the ancient Egyptians had very old books with spells and stories to help people reach the afterlife. Most were about magic, protection, and safe travels. But one story is super creepy. It's called the Cannibal Hymn. In this story, a dead king is in the afterlife and wants to be powerful. So he catches the gods, kills them, and eats parts of their bodies, like their hearts, livers, and even their voices. He thinks if he eats the gods, he will take their powers and become even stronger. This story was not meant for the public. It was only written deep inside the pyramids for kings, where normal people would never see it. It was very scary and strange, even for ancient times. People didn't talk about it much because it showed a dark side of Egyptian religion, one where kings used violence and fear to get power in the next world. Those are all the facts I have for now, but feel free to drop a like and subscribe for even crazier facts about ancient Egypt. Thanks for watching.